Hello, I'm Father Louis Scurti with Friends of the Word. Today I'm honored to have Josh Cote as my guest. Welcome, Josh.
Thank you for having me, Father.
I met Josh at Annunciation Church in Wayne, New Jersey, where I assist, and I've come to discover that he is multifaceted. Why do I say that, Josh? Tell the audience something about you.
Well, because I was baptized as a Melkite Catholic, but then raised as a Roman Catholic, going to Catholic school and whatnot. So I kind of am a cross between, I guess you would say.
A cross between all the
Yeah,
churches.
all the churches.
So today I'd like to use the documents of Vatican II and one particular document, the Decree on the Catholic Eastern Churches, just to introduce our topic, because locally in West Patterson there is a church called St. Anne's Melkite Church, and that's the community from which Josh came. So let's read a little bit about the introduction to the Oriental Church, as the documents call it. The Catholic Church values highly the institutions of the Eastern churches, their liturgical rites, ecclesiastical traditions, and their ordering of Christian life. For in those churches which are distinguished by their vulnerable antiquity, there is clearly evident the tradition which has come from the apostles through the fathers of the church, and which impart of the divinely revealed undivided heritage of the universal church. This holy ecumenical synod, the Second Vatican Council, therefore has a special care for the Eastern churches, which are living witnesses of this tradition, and wishes them to flourish and to fulfill with new apostolic strength the task entrusted to them. Accordingly, it has decided to set down some guiding principles for these churches in addition to those which refer to the Church Universal, leaving all else to be cared for by the Eastern Synods and the Apostolic See. Now, that's quite a mouthful.
Yeah,
Basically, the Roman Church here at Vatican II is saying we're more than one body, one particular group. We're one body, but there are many, many, many segments. And these segments are called rites, Eastern rites. And there are many, I think there are at least 26 Eastern rites. When I was at the university, we used to have a rite from, they weren't Melkites, but they were Eastern. They used to come in and present a mass. I say present a mass because it's very different, as you're going to tell the audience, than our Western Roman Mass. What was it? I mean, I'll talk more about the history of that in a second, but tell me your origins at the Melkite Church.
Well, I've been going there, I was baptized there, so going there at a very young age every Sunday. And it's just, it's a different type of Mass. It's a different feel. They sing the entire Mass.
Right.
That's well known.
It's funny, a few minutes ago you told me that something I did at Mass reminded you of that. What was that?
It was when you do the consecration, you sang it, and it
Right.
brought me back to the old days in the Melkite Catholic Church.
That's
the
great.
first thing I thought of.
Actually, it's recommended, even in the liturgy for the Roman Church, that the whole Eucharistic prayer be sung. Nobody does it. I don't think. I don't even think the Pope does it. But it goes back to those roots, because the Oriental Church, the Eastern Church, is much more filled with hierarchical elements, in a lot of incense. And I love incense.
A lot of incense.
and singing. So I sing the consecration and of course the preface to the Eucharistic prayer. Okay, tell us something else.
You walk into the church and it's just a big piece of artwork. Everywhere is icons and the ceiling's painted and the big golden dome.
Okay, each one of those elements. Tell the audience what an icon is, as far as you know.
An icon is a painting of a saint, and most of it's hand done, and it's in a certain way that it's very like Middle Eastern. It's made out of wood, and it's just very big in the Melkite Catholic Church. My family has a bunch. I have one in my room. And
what saint or
St. Patrick?
St. Patrick. Oh, great!
Interesting. Yeah, St. Patrick. Yeah.
He probably would not have been one of the subjects that the Eastern Church would
being
use.
An Irish saint.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's very big on the artwork, and it's beautiful. You look at the ceiling, and it's the big, hands of Christ just going out, and
right.
And Mother Mary behind the altar. It's
good. I'm glad you're doing that. I want to give the audience a little overview. First of all, the Eastern Church began in the 4th century. 325, Constantine sort of makes Constantinople his capital, and the Eastern Church flourishes. Through the years and various traditions and historical reasons. You can go into your history books for that. The development separates. So the Western Church, headed in Rome, and the Eastern Church, headed in Constantinople, grow apart, still Catholic. Later on, even that breaks up. But so the Eastern Church, the tradition I used to say when I was teaching this is that the Eastern Church liturgy is hierarchical, really vertical,
Yes.
up, whereas the Western Church is horizontal.
Okay.
And even in the architecture, the Western Church is low key in the sense of communicating to the people, and the Eastern Church is always communicating to God.
Yep.
Now we both do both, but the focus is that. So the churches in the Eastern Rite are what we call domed, okay, and they're central churches. They're central-based churches. So it's a huge dome, and under the dome is the body of the church, and into the dome is the big Pantocrator, the Christ
Yes.
that you had discussed.
Yeah.
What does that look like in your church? That Christ?
Oh, it's
Pantocrator means judge of all things.
okay. Yeah, it's ginormous. That's the first thing you think.
Ginormous.
Ginormous.
Okay. That's big.
Yeah, and you're standing in the middle of the church, and you're looking up, and you're the speck compared to the whole dome. It's kind of like it gives you like a symbol, like who you're praying to almost.
Yes, perfect. And that's the focus of the Central Plan Church, to carry us up. And that's why there's so much music and so much incense, because you're not on earth. When you are in the sanctuary and praying to God, you are entering heaven. I was honored to have the Melkite choir from St. Anne's sing at my first Mass.
Wow.
I used to help out there when I was a deacon. I met Father Al and a few other priests, and the choir and I fell in love with each other. So I said, would you guys like to sing at my first Mass? And this is in Jersey City, Italian parish, and they blew the roof off. They were Oriental with the bells and the cymbals, and one person summarized it all. Said, I expected you to come riding in on a camel, because that's how beautiful it was.
Yeah.
Okay, something else about the architecture, and then we'll talk. Another show we'll talk about the theology of the Melkite Church. But
Architecture, also the altar, the size of the altar.
Yes.
It takes up half of the church, and it's all closed in. So it's covered by icons. There's big gates in the front, and you could see different pieces of artwork, like kind of through the altar, but you never go back there.
Right.
And they have certain things in there, like certain bells, such as like the bells they ring during the consecration.
Yes.
And there's also a symbol in that. It's like one of the bells doesn't ring because it stands for the apostles and Judas. So it's all a lot of symbolism.
I'm glad you said that. My censer that they gave me, the choir gave me, has 12 bells on it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, they put the 12th bell because it represents Matthias, who has replaced Judas. But each of the bells represents the apostles.
Yeah, one of the apostles.
So when the incense is being used, the bells are ringing, and that represents the apostles and the choirs of heaven singing and praising God.
Yeah.
That's good. You're bringing back a lot of memories. That's great. The altar, the screen in front of it is called an iconostasis, which is an icon stand, basically. And do you know the order of the saints there in the front?
I know what saints are on there. It's St. John the Baptist, St. Barbara's on there, Mother Mary's on there.
Okay, that's good.
And
there are other saints, but those are John the Baptist and Mary. We call her Theotokos. The Eastern Church calls her Theotokos, which is the carrier of Christ, Theotokos. She's always pictured with Christ.
Yep.
Notice that in next time you go. You never see Mary in the Melkite Church alone.
Yeah.
She's always, Christ is right here.
Okay.
Because he represents being in her womb. So she's on one side, the patron of the church is on one side, and then St. John the Baptist is always going like this, pointing to the doors.
Okay.
The sanctuary.
Yeah.
The Christ. So John the Baptist filling his role as precursor. Mary is carrying Jesus, and the patron, of course, guarding over the parish.
Yeah.
This is wonderful.
Yeah,
You bring back a lot of memories. Okay. At another show, we'll talk about maybe the theology of the Eastern Church. How's that?
Okay. Sounds great.
Any one thing you want to close with as far as a memory of the Eastern Church?
Oh, my biggest memory is sign of the cross. Because they
Do it.
They used to tell I did it wrong at Catholic school. Because they didn't know you're going the wrong way, Josh. But first things first is 3.
Yes.
Is Father, Son, Holy Spirit. And then the Eastern Rite would be to your right shoulder first.
Right. I mean, correct.
Verse to
Ours.
that's the normal, like the way I was
The rest of the
raised.
church.
But
Right.
at first they tell me I did it wrong.
Both churches said
Both
you did it
church,
wrong.
you did it wrong.
See, because you're by
Yeah.
ritual, we would
Yes.
call that. Great. We'll bring you back. Thank you very much, Josh.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. This has been Father Louis Scurti with Josh Cote, speaking about some elements of the Melkite Church, one of the Eastern rites of the Catholic Church. God bless you, and pass this on to your family and friends. And I'd like to hear from you. If you want to send me an email, it's Father Lou, F-R, Father Lou Scurti at hotmail.com. God bless you.